You know that we like eating meat, right? But you mentioned how your diet you do different things with the way you eat. Can you tell us about some of that?
Yeah, I change occasionally or most of the time. I could go vegan for a period of time. So like now I'm not eating meat.
How about lifting? How do you program in your lifting with your training? Because you're still huge, and you said you've been like the same weight since you were 19. So how does that work for you?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm doing a lot of cardio. I think I do more cardio than I lift. Right, so I lift maybe once, twice a week, and the rest of the time is cardio. And I still manage to keep, I don't understand, but yeah.
How about body weight stuff? Do you count body weight as lifting, or do you do body weight stuff every day?
I do a lot of I do body weight every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even count it as lifting.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll lift maybe once or twice, but I do body weight like this every day.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen you do almost looks like you're doing like jujitsu against the ground a lot of times. It's like you versus the ground.
I think working on your core, your stability, your balance, really I think it's very challenging. I think these are things that for me, it's more challenging than anything else, than just lifting tons of weight or whatever. And I think I always want to make sure that I'm really strong. But when I say strong, I don't mean just lifting 200 kilos strong, but being able to control yourself, being able to do handstands or to do things that bring your core into action even more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's very easy to be able to lift, like 100 kilo, 150, 200 kilo. I think anybody can do that. Anyone doing like this laborer can do that.
Yeah.
You take a laborer there, he come there with his big arm, he take the weight, he lift it. But being able to do this core exercise, very challenging.
Yeah, and being able to do some of the stuff that you do, like this unconventional stuff where you're balancing shoes on your own shoes,
and like rolling.
But you were also mentioning
this, for instance, is like a very good hips mobility exercise and back. You feel it on your hips and your back.
That's a try.
And you really challenge your core.
You're really thinking about it here.
Yeah.
You're like, what am I going to do? How do I roll?
Yeah, how much glue did you put on the bottom of your shoe? Oh my gosh.
Look at his left leg though. Look like how he has to maneuver that leg to bring. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's wild.
Andrew, you'll have cramp doing this.
I know. I'm getting a cramp just watching.
I'm trying that after the podcast.
You were saying sometimes you'll pair a lift with another exercise to get the cardio in. So is that part of your lifting or is that part of your cardio? Like when you said you were riding a bike and doing deadlifts in between.
Yeah. I think...
So you put that more in the cardio.
I always like to be unconventional, right? So I'd always do things, like outside of the book. So it's not there. So I'm trying things like I'll do weight training and I'll go and do kickboxing. I'll just finish now and then I step in the ring there and start hitting the pads, right, with my trainer. And I like to do that because I never want to be stiff. I never want to be, uncomfortable and being like very stiff. I never want to be like that. I always want to be loose. I want to be long. I want to have long limbs. I never want to walk around being stiff. I think it's not pretty. I like to be pretty. No, I think it's very healthy that way,
right.
And it works for me. I'm not worried about losing my muscle, and I think because I'm not worrying about it, I never lost it. I'm not worrying. I think the fact that I'm not worrying put me in a good place. So I just enjoy my training. And I do my mobility, I do my weight training, I go and do my kickboxing, I do my running. So I'm always there and I feel great.
We were talking a little bit about your diet and the way you eat in the gym. And, you know that we like eating meat, right? But you mentioned how your diet you do different things with the way you eat. Can you tell us about some of that?
Yeah, I change occasionally or most of the time, I could go vegan for a period of time. So like now, I'm not eating meat.
And you feel better? Like, you said you feel lighter that way?
And I feel good. I sleep well. I feel strong. Nothing has changed. I'm fast. I run. I lift. I feel good.
And how long?
I'm sharp.
How long is a period that you would go vegan for?
A year.
Shit.
But you said vegan with chicken and with salmon, I think you said.
Then I'll change.
That's true.
And if I change, and if I travel and go see my mom, for instance, I'll change, right? I'll stop and then I'll go back to eating meat because it's traditional, right? That's what we do. If I'm going to meet some friend, or if I'm coming to meet some, I don't want to be the outsider.
We understand,
So if I'm coming here and say we're eating, I say, okay, give me some chicken, then I'm gonna blend with you and so on. But I know that this is a one-time thing, and then I'll go back to whatever. I'm not that strict into it, but I'll do it whenever I'm pleased, whenever I feel like. I'll go from vegan to be a vegetarian, or I'll change to a pescatarian, and I just have fish for a while. And I think changing like this, I feel really good about it. I like it. I don't like to be stuck into one thing. I like to explore. I like to change. And sometimes I'll go, I'd say, for instance, for the next 3 months, I'll do intermittent fasting, or I'll do maybe eating 3 days without eating, drinking water for 2 days, and no water. So dry fast.
Dry fast.
Yeah, and I do that for a period of time. And when I'm doing that, I'm still training. I don't stop my training. I do the same training. I wake up in the morning, go and do the same training, and so on. Yeah.
Why do you switch things up? Are you doing it to kind of see how you handle it? Are you doing it to experiment?
Both.
Yeah.
How I handle it, but also to experiment, also just challenging myself. And I think it's good for my mind, it's good for my brain, it's good for my body to stop doing like if I'm eating meat every time and I'm eating all the time, I want to stop and cleanse and just not eat meat for a while. I want my body to, to change a bit, and I feel good, and since I've been doing that, I noticed that, it works for me. I really feel good, and so I like it. Yeah.
Pararogic family, how's it going? Now, we love these fucking legendary tasty pastries, and you already know how good they are, but I want a hot tip for you. I want to give you a hot tip. Number one.
Hot heat.
When you eat these things, 20 grams of protein, 5 grams of net carbs, put it in the microwave for 15 seconds. All right, we talked about how it can fit any single diet because it's high protein, very low carb. But if you put it in the microwave for 15 seconds, my fucking God, it will melt in your mouth. I highly suggest you could do this with any flavor, but if you can get your hands on the hot fudge sundae, oh, baby, Andrew, you're the one who put me on this shit, man.
Yes, seriously, you guys have to try this, but please do not microwave it for more than 15 seconds because the inside turns nuclear. But to me, this tastes like an old school chocolate donut for some reason. When you microwave it, it completely changes the flavor and it changes it for the better. But you guys got to head over to eatlegendary.com and at checkout, enter promo code PowerProject to save 20% off your entire order. Again, that's at eatlegendary.com. Links to them down in the description as well as the podcast show notes. Let's get back to this podcast.
Do you experiment with different kinds of running? Do you go out and sprint and do some other things
I do
like
a lot
that?
of sprint,
Jumping and things like that?
Long distance, so I do sprint, yeah.
Really mix it up?
Yeah, I mix it up. So it's the same thing. The same approach that I have with my diet is the same approach that I have with my training. I also mix things. I do running, sometimes long distance, sometimes short and just sprint. And I do a lot of different things. Jumping high. I'm doing a lot of...
make it fun, make it interesting,
Make it interesting, yeah.
When you do any, like let's say running or when you're sparring, do you pay attention to what you're doing with your breathing? Like I notice sometimes when people are doing jiu-jitsu and stuff, they breathe through their mouth. Do you care whether you're breathing through your nose, whether you're breathing through your mouth? Do you notice any difference?
I care, and I try to remind myself. Sometimes I forget. And often I remind myself and I get back on track. Yeah.
So like for you, is it like mainly through do you try to, when you say remind yourself, are you trying to breathe through the nose?
Like when I'm running, I'm trying to breathe through my nose.
Okay.
I'm trying to control my breath. I don't want to be like you taking too much. You're taking too much, and that's what you should avoid, right? Because when you're fighting, when we're in fighting, you don't open your mouth and no, you have to. It's like swimming, and I'm not a good swimmer.
Don't make those jokes, guys. You better chill.
I'm not a good swimmer. But it's like that. You have to breathe. I was doing some swimming training just a few weeks ago, and then the instructor was telling me, you have to save it and just like use it little by little, right? So you don't want to be like, you don't want to be like that. You want to be like very discreet. Right? You want to, so I think
so good. That was so good.
Man, I knew you were athletic, but that's unbelievable. That almost looks fake.
Almost.
You see, hater will say it's fake.
I remember seeing it. That was such a good video.
I watched that at least 1 million times.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
And I'm not a good swimmer. But as I was saying, breathing is important. So you have to. So when I'm running, I try to breathe through my nose and try to not inhale too much, not exhale too much, like slowly, control it.
Mm-hmm. It's a little bit like intermittent fasting. Like just because you're hungry doesn't mean you have to eat.
Yeah.
Just because you feel like you need to breathe a little harder doesn't mean that you necessarily have to do that. You can work your way through it, and you find yourself, you'll go up a hill and your breathing might feel like it needs to be more erratic, but once you start to override it with your mind, and once your conditioning gets a little bit better, it gets a little easier to deal with.
Yeah, and I'm doing some cold and hot.
Oh yeah, nice.
So we're doing some training where when I'm going to the ice, I have to stop breathing, and then I start breathing very slowly, right? Because at first what I was doing was I jump in there and I'm like,
yeah,
you see what I mean? Because suddenly your body is in total stress, right? And you feel like to reject it, you want to like, and this is something that you shouldn't. So you have to jump in there and stop breathing. I jump in there and I stop and I start doing it slowly and controlling it. And it's something I just work on. So you can read a lot about it and check on the internet, and it's been very helpful.
Guys, we're working hard over here trying to learn, trying to bring our information to you, and we need your help. A lot of you guys watching these bites aren't subscribed, so just click that red subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you can see when we continue to come out with this heat. Talk to y'all later.